Welcome to Deadly Dames. So Claire and I have been discussing sort of different ideas for movie reviews, and the main reason for it is because the to be watch pile sort of got out of hand. Mainly my fault. Okay, it's all my fault. And this was our idea in a sort of way to try and work our way through the to be watch pile, but not just that. Try and revisit some old classic slashers as well. It is a genre of like horror that we really like. We do like a good slasher film. The only thing is, we've been trying to think of a title that doesn't sound cheesy or stupid. I wanted to call it It's Slasher Time. Claire said that was cheesy, and then she came away with Happy Slashing, which I think is even worse. So if you can think of a good like title for reviewing the slasher movies other than It's Slasher Time, just let me know. So the first movie that we watched was, well, when I say we, I mainly mean me, because Claire fell asleep during it. She's really crap at watching films with you, because the second one I watched, which I'll show after this one, she left to make a telephone call, so she is actually really crap at watching movies with. She's no attention span whatsoever, falls asleep at every film. It's funny, like, I think most movies that we've watched, I've seen the beginning about 5 times, because Claire falls asleep all the time. But anyway, the first movie we watched was Midnight Movie, and I realised about 10 minutes into this film that I'd actually seen it before, but it was good because I must have seen it a while ago because I couldn't really remember all of it. Basically, the movie sort of starts with an insane asylum with a patient who we gather was like a film creator, a film director, and a doctor thinks it's a good idea to play his movie to him. Now, I gather there was some sort of witchcraft involved because he gets on his knees, paints symbols with blood. That to me is sort of witchcraft. And then he disappears, but after loads of people have died in the hospital. So we jump to years later, and this little small town cinema is going to be playing his movie for the first time. And you get like the director and one of the doctors that survived the director, no, a detective, and one of the doctors that had survived from the hospital massacre had turned up because this is the first time the movie had been played, and they sort of assumed that he would show up to see his movie being shown. And it's basically like your normal group of teenagers who aren't teenagers going to see the movie. Now, there's actually some really good ideas in this film because it's basically the film comes to life. So when the guys are watching the movie, there's certain points where on the movie they actually see people that are in the cinema being murdered, but they don't really realise that at first until it happens to be one of them, and they think at first that it's a really good prank, and then maybe they're on some sort of TV show before realising that, you know, actually this is serious and they're locked in a cinema, there's no way to get out. I thought that was a really good idea. I really liked the scenes where they were sitting watching the film and then all of a sudden, like, the person they knew was being dragged into the movie and then downstairs. But the good bit about it was that in the actual movie it's like a typical slasher, like, people was the word I'm trying to think of, because you've got like the characters being killed off in the movie itself, and then in the movie that we're watching, which is getting quite complicated now, they're getting killed, but because the people that are in the actual movie itself haven't died yet, the movie's still playing. I hope that made sense. Did that make sense, Claire? So it basically goes down to like our final two, which is like a brother and sister. And what I really liked about it, without ruining too much, is that like it doesn't quite have like the final girl ending that you quite think. I loved the idea that when the end credits rolled and they were inside the film, that they knew, oh, we're in trouble, we need to get out. Similar to how like in Final Girls, although that's a comedy, they can see like the final credits and stuff like that. I thought that was really clever. I thought it was really funny, and obviously this movie came before Final Girls, so it's kind of like a movie within a movie. I really did like that. You can tell it is a low budget film. There was some cheap effects in it, but obviously for the low budgetness of it, and certainly this version is very fuzzy. It's definitely not got the picture perfect quality of Blu-rays and 4Ks that you get now, but I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a good film, certainly a very different idea. It didn't treat its audience like it was stupid and spell everything out for you, because I hate that. I hate movies that just think that the people that are watching it must be thick as mints because they have to show you every little flashback so that you understand everything, or they have to spell out something like, oh, show you in great detail where she got the gun from or where that weapon came from. I hate movies that do that, and it didn't do that. And I actually really liked the killer, and I quite liked, like, there was the killer but also in the movie there was his killer mum. I thought that was quite good as well, because then it became two killers once you were actually inside the movie. I definitely would recommend picking up Midnight Movie to give it a go. It might not be a movie that you can watch over and over again, but it's certainly worth giving it at least one go. I thought it was quite a good slasher. And then the second film that we watched was one that I got from the pound shop. So I don't mind giving movies a go when they're in the pound shop, but once upon a time I probably would have paid £5-7 for this from Asda. And then I got really pissed off because I started spending like that amount of money on maybe 4 or 5 movies, and one of them is good. So I really do like that if you hold off a couple of years, and sometimes not even a couple of years, sometimes just like 6 months, that these movies then appear in the pound shop. So I'm always happy to give a film a go for £1. And Claire's laughing because and you'll see it in the pickup video for this week, but the movie Buried was in the pound shop on Blu-ray and I couldn't find it. I decided to leave it and I went back and I thought, right, we'll buy it. And it wasn't there, and I went into Computer Exchange and she was like, oh, there it's there for £1.50, and she's laughing because I was too stingy to pay 50p more to get the movie when I knew I could get it for £1 for the pound shop, which I got today. So that's why you're laughing at me. Yeah, well, I could have spent that 50p on something else. So The Maze, I actually quite like the idea about it. I like the idea of a killer in a cornfield, because I actually think cornfields are kind of scary because I'm 5 foot. And anything that's taller than me scares me because I can't see nothing when I'm in there. But the start of this movie was really kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Lackluster. It was kind of not. This is why Claire made a telephone call, because she got really bored. But the start of this movie's like typical gang of kids, always 5 because that's the amount you can fit in a car, unless there's 2 cars in a movie or it's a van. But for whatever reason, even if there's a van, there seems to always be 5 anyway. But there's 5 of them going to this, what's it called? It was like a corn maze. That's it. Why the movie's called Maze, I should have thought of that. So it's corn maze. But because they're running late, they actually get there and the maze is closed. But, you know, being the typical teenagers in a horror film, they decide to trespass. Sorry, foot went numb. They decided to trespass anyway and go in, and rather than get drunk and have sex like most teenagers do, these guys decide to play tag. Oof, hardcore. So they play tag with like instead of like actually just tagging someone, they actually like just swap over a necklace when you're it. But in the field there's a guy in a red hoodie who doesn't like them and decides to start killing them. Now this part of the movie was actually very difficult to watch because there were certain things that happened, like they would hit him with, I'm guessing it was maybe like a sack of corn or something, but they would hit him with like a sack and he would fall down, but yet they stabbed him and they bounced straight back up. So there was some really stupid bits in it that just didn't make sense. But come on, it's a slasher film, there's loads of that in movies. But once you're past that part and you get to your final girl who cleverly sets fire to the corn so that police and that come to see what's going on, and she gets to the police station, there's actually a good twist there, because should I just ruin the movie or should I try and keep it hidden? Well, let's just say there's a twist. So she gets to the police station and there's a twist. Then we'll leave it at that. When it gets to that part, it actually gets pretty good because it's quite tense, and I think the character they've got playing the bad guy is really smug and really good as he could be genuine, he could also be the bad guy. And I think he plays that really well, and I quite enjoyed the standoff at the end. It's just a shame that the start of the movie wasn't like the end of the film. And again, you can see this is quite a cheap made movie. It certainly didn't have a massive budget, but for what they've done, I think it was quite well. It was definitely worth a watch. I think if you're going to put it on, you'll probably struggle to get through the first 30 minutes like what I did, because there was nothing new there, there was nothing exciting there, but I did really enjoy the end of the movie. It sort of brought it back for me. If I was going to recommend a movie out of the two of them, I would say watch Midnight Movie. It is better than The Maze, but for £1 you can't go wrong, unless you find it for 50p, and in which case, bargain. But yeah, definitely worth a watch. I would say definitely say they're both slashers, because we had this full discussion about what is an actual slasher. To me, a slasher's like obviously a guy or a woman hunting down people and killing them. But we had a discussion over, is Supernatural a slasher? Because in that case, Candyman's not a slasher, or Freddy Krueger's not a slasher, because they're supernatural. And then technically only Mrs. Voorhees is a slasher because Jason's supernatural. And only the first Halloween movie would be a slasher because after that, well, the first and the second actually, because then after that, Michael Myers becomes quite supernatural. So where do we draw the line at a slasher? We'd like to know your opinion on that. What would you class as a slasher? Because I think I would class those movies as slashers, but technically they're supernatural movies. So, don't know. Very complicated question. We'll see what you guys say on that. But anyway, thank you for watching. Hopefully you liked us chatting about slasher films. We are going to start looking at more sort of classic ones as well. We don't want to do slasher movies that everybody's seen. We want to shake it up a bit and sort of pick ones that you might not have seen. And definitely if there's any slasher movies out there you think we might like, recommend them to us. We love finding out about movies that we've never heard of. I mean, I think you've probably seen in one of our recent pickup videos that we were recommended Welcome to Arrow Beach. Again, not entirely sure if it is 100% a slasher, but really liked it. Glad they were recommended that. So we'd probably put this on one of our slasher reviews, put that on one of the slasher reviews as well. So yeah, if you've got a slasher film that you've never heard us talking about or seen in any of our pickups, let us know. We want to watch it. But yeah, hopefully you like these reviews. Leave your comments below, and as always, please like and subscribe and take care.